So if you are obsessed with chasing or finding a so-called a purpose in life, and you have been looking for that, you have been searching for that, you have been going through countless of kind of workshops in order to get in touch with that, like you feel like you have something important to do in the world and that's really what you want to dedicate yourself to, then you might sometimes struggle with feelings of, let's say, burnout, or where you never really seems to be able to completely live your purpose, or you feel like some kind of restlessness, like what you're doing right now is not in line with what you think you're supposed to do, or you try to dedicate yourself to that, but you kind of experience complete moments of complete feelings of loneliness, isolation, and all of that. Then what I want to share in this video is that we have, let's say, a secondary purpose in life and a primary purpose in life. So let's discuss that. What we think about now, before I want to dive further, I think, this is we need to first understand the masculine role and the feminine role, or the masculine energy and the feminine energy. Let's say men should have around 80% of masculine energy, 20% of feminine energy, more or less, and let's say women are the complete opposite. Now, men are supposed to have a very strong, driven purpose in life. Men should just really be focused on chasing down their purpose, of getting out in the world, of building and creating and providing and all of these type of things, right? It's getting into that kind of warrior spirit to fight to build your kingdom. The kingdom within that can be like a container for the feminine to be free. But here's the thing. Also within the masculine energy, we also have feminine energy. And if we are not in touch with that, we burn out in the process of fighting for our purpose, to build our legacy in the world. Because then we get out of balance. Even spiritual teachers who are completely chasing down their so-called secondary purpose in life, which they never really seems to be able to find, maybe they do, they burn out. So what is the difference between a secondary and a primary purpose? Your secondary purpose on life, on earth, is, let's say, of what it is that you want to get out in the world. What it is that you want to build, what it is that you want to create, what it is that you want to provide as a service, as an offer to humanity. This is really where you get in touch with spiritual entrepreneurship, of what it is that you want to do for others. It's to build this kingdom, right? Now, this is the moment where we get a little bit lost in action-driven, purpose-driven motivation. And especially for those who believe they are on the path of building a holistic health business, a spiritual healing business, and coaching business, or anything regarding to that, they are always out there, action-driven in the doing mode, that sometimes they completely lost touch with their primary purpose. And for those who just really are focused on their secondary purpose in life, they are very, let's say, ego-driven. They are even like building their spiritual ego or spiritual identity in order how they want to be perceived by others. It's really about building a perceived market value. This is all about your branding and how you want to be perceived by others, what it is that you want to do for others. So this is really more about the ego, right? The ego is always in the doing and the having. If we don't do something, then we feel this restlessness, like I meant to do something. Otherwise, I don't have any value, I don't have any purpose. But here's the thing, and this is really what should be coming in balance as well. Our primary purpose is to just be. Is to just be as a human being. We are human beings, not human doings. But our ego wants to always be in the doing phase in order to get out there. That's the masculine energy of action-driven, purpose-driven, getting out there in order to go and collect things, is to gather, is to be in this hunter-gatherer mindset. Now, of course, the masculine energy also applies for women. As like I said before, like also women have like masculine energy of getting out there. But what we see in the world, this is a little bit out of balance, because we live in a world created by men, for men, and women have to be part of this as well. And that's why they neglect their pure divine feminine energy. So we as men, we tend to focus on building a container so the feminine energy can really free flow, flourish around in that. So let's say our primary purpose is to just feel, is to just be, is to just relax. And through relaxation, we can reflect on who we really are and want to be or become. Through relaxation, we can experience our true essence. We can in touch with, do I really feel what I want? And do I really want what I feel? And through our primary purpose, we could also really see how we are growing emotionally, as emotions are energy in motion. And through that, how we evolve and ascend spiritually. Is doing nothing is always being labeled as lazy or non-productive, because our ego, once again, it is getting out there, is always being active. And doing nothing is being labeled as non-productive or lazy, and then you are not an active participant in society, in our culture. That's why for us as men, as we already have more masculine energy, going into spirituality, it's not an easy thing. Once you recognize, like even for yourself, if you're purpose driven and all of that, you're out there, you're building your brand, and all of these things, you're working on your secondary purpose in life, or what it is that you want to do for humanity. Getting in touch with your primary purpose feels like off guard. It feels like unnatural. It is like, a bit wishy-washy up there, Or maybe you think like, what's the point? I can't do anything with this. What am I supposed to do with this? Feelings. So this is the process men are going through, dedicating themselves towards spirituality, and it can feel like a very lonely and isolating journey, because it is really something that we can only do to ourselves. None of others and the world around us is here to, let's say, give space for that, because we are meant or supposed to fulfill our secondary purpose in life, because our value is only based on our productivity. And our value is only based on the things that we create and build. And if we don't create and build anything, we don't have any value. So our whole self-worth is being entangled to our secondary purpose, like what it is that we really do here in the world. And giving yourself some time to relax so you can reflect, and through self-reflection you can really grow. It is a thing that is not tangible. It is not natural for us. We don't like to be in this being state. But through this being states, we can bring more soul into our secondary purpose. If we don't balance that, and we are only focused on the external things, we burn out. We don't come from a true place of where the heart is really fueling, energizing our secondary purpose. So it's this whole balance, this whole dynamic between recognizing what is your primary purpose here on earth, whether it be self-care, emotional mastery, self-mastery, getting in touch with your intuition, with your feelings. Do you really feel what you want, and do you really want what you feel? And give yourself time to reflect on this whole elements, no matter what you're going through. Or maybe you're right now at a position where you're just having a normal, mundane job, and you think like, my spirituality is separated from my normal day-to-day job in order to be responsible and meet all my basic needs in life. You think it's separated, but maybe it is not. Maybe you think like, it's like underneath the ladder of my greater grand secondary purpose I must fulfill in your life, but maybe it is not. Maybe it's all part of that process. Maybe it is part like, okay, so this is where you currently are at, a normal day-to-day job in order to pay your bills and rent and all of these things. But once again, how does that interweave with each other, with your primary purpose? Like, do you really feel what you want, and do you really want what you feel? And if not, how can you align more with your being state? Or how do you bring more of your being state together with your doing state? How do you bring harmony between be, do, so you can have? Eventually, it's all the process of alignment between your primary and secondary purpose. And once you can bring more acceptance in that, embrace that, accept that, forgive yourself of not completely living your crazy secondary purpose of what it is that you want to build and create. And through this place of acceptance, you can build upon these foundations that you are building for yourself. Bring balance and harmony between your own masculine energy of getting out there together with the feminine energy of allowing yourself to go with the currents of life. It's never one straight journey. The river, it flows through different parts of reality. And through these different parts of reality, we always get invited on coming back to ourselves. Who do we really choose to be and become through these challenges, to these so-called difficulties or sacrifices that we are making? And once again, bring harmony between be, do and have. So let me know your thoughts on this whole concept between your primary purpose, which is about the being state, that once and all we don't really like to recognize this within our society because we live in a culture that is really about external status. If we don't have status, then we are a nobody, especially for us as men. We don't allow ourselves to be a nobody because it feels too lonely. And then, we are not simply attractive enough. We don't have any market value that we can offer. And we need to offer something. Otherwise, we are stuck and left behind. So for us, it's more pressure in order to be a masculine man and build and create something, be the warrior to build a kingdom. But without being the lover or the magician, we are out of balance and we burn out, or we stay stuck in this feeling of loneliness and isolation. So let me know your thoughts. How do you are going to balance the primary purpose of being together with your secondary purpose of doing and having? I look forward to start this conversation with you.